and welcome to the editor's interview. This is where we discuss the biggest stories of the week as reported by the New Vision. My name is Ronald Kato, and this week I'm talking to Mr. John Kakande, the editor of New Vision, about three stories. One is the controversial land giveaway by the NFA. Two, the changes made by the new police boss, Afande Ochola. And three is the African Continental Free Trade Area Treaty. Welcome. Thank you very much, John, for your time.
Thank you.
The week began with New Vision reporting the story of a controversial forest land giveaway by the National Forestry Authority.
Yes.
They have given away land away before. Why was this so important?
Yes, it was important because forests in this country are very sensitive sector because of the environment, but also the number of people is quite big, over 1,000. We are given land in the forest reserve for tree planting, but also the fact that they are very big personalities among those who benefited. The Deputy Chief Justice, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, several MPs, some ministers. So it was important to examine how were they selected. But also we had received complaints from people who are not picked, grumbling that the process was not very transparent. So I wanted to generate a debate on the issue to understand were these people selected in a transparent manner, what were the considerations to give X and not Y, what are the obligations of these people, what are the terms, and why, what is the real rationale. Yes, the process has been on for a long time, and in the past there was kind of a mess where people were given concessions to plant trees in the forests. They cleared the forest and they planted the banana, they planted all sorts of other things, and not the trees, which obviously defeats the purpose. So that's why we thought it was quite a big issue. And as a newspaper and as a media house, environment is one of the issues we cherish and crusade. So only last year we were involved in a tree planting campaign. So anything that touches forest, we would be concerned.
How has the NFA responded to your story?
Well, they explained themselves. They insisted that the process was very transparent. People applied online. As we learned later, many people applied, over 7,000, and they had about 40,000 hectares to give out. This is the last batch. Apparently, NFA had already given out something like 16,000 hectares. 160,000 hectares, because they said their target was to give out 200,000 hectares. So now this was the last batch. Probably what people may have also missed in that story is that not only did they give people land for tree planting, but there are a few people who were given for beekeeping. There are also a handful who were allowed to cut out stone quarry in the protected forest reserves, and some very few who were given a big amount of land, whom they called the big scale, the large scale commercial farmers, again to plant trees. But also I think the story is mentioning the forests affected in the north, in the east, in the central region, and the west. So it's quite a story of enormous interest for the country, for the public. I also wanted to find out, okay, how much do you pay? Because this is government land. apparently from the NFA's point of view, these people are not supposed, you see, governments are not supposed to make profits from them, because the feeling is that they are doing a service to the country, conserving the environment by planting trees. And the explanation was that they had to establish your financial viability. Yes, you want land, so they would ask how much can you manage. Then you give a figure, 50 hectares. How much money do you have? Where are you going to buy the seedlings? How long are you going to get the whole area planted with trees?
Only that?
Then they would also, I think they asked for their bank statement to prove. Then they would also ask whether you have been involved in the previous campaign, planting trees, whether you had any experience in that area. So, but also they gave clear guidelines on the type of trees one had to plant. I think our only concern was that NFA is not promoting the planting of the indigenous tropical forest trees as we know them, mufule and this kind of thing, or mahogany. But they are promoting things like eucalyptus. So this is something we said, but why shouldn't you? Okay, they say they also encouraging planting mosizi, I think, they mentioned it. But it looks like in the next 20, 30 years, the indigenous trees would have disappeared. If
How
the forest
have
had
the
not.
leaders been reacting to this story?
We received a lot of letters on the issue, which means that people were really interested to know. People are still not very convinced about the score. You see, each person was scored, and on the basis of each one's score, that you are approved or not approved. Now, of course, the question is, could they have scored the Deputy Chief Justice much lower? Or was he scored high because he's the Deputy Chief Justice, or the Deputy Speaker, or the Minister, Minister of State for Internal Affairs? So all these really are issues. But I can understand really when you have 7,000 people and all you need is 1,500, obviously there will always be people who will complain. Yeah. Then we also followed it up with an editorial. I think we did write an editorial on the story to stress the importance, but also we stressed the point that having given out this concession for people to get free land to plant trees in the forest, we did stress the need by the government, specifically the National Forest Authority, to monitor and ensure that these people who are given the forests, the forest land, stick to what they have committed themselves to do. Because it is not good for the country when you give out forest land and the land and the trees are cleared, and then you plant whatever you want. Could be maize. Yes, the country needs maize, but not to be grown in the forests. So we did point out that they need to keep focus and follow up these people.
John, another story that you've been, covering quite extensively here at the New Vision is the changes in the police force. Big operational and administrative changes by the new IGP, Okof Ochola. How has the coverage of that story been, and why is it important?
The story is quite big and a matter of keen interest. First, the country has experienced a number of murders over the past few years. So security is a matter of concern for many people. As you know, there was the kidnap and murder of a young lady, Susan Magala, recently, last month. And it looked like the police had lost grip on what was going on. Then the president decides to change leadership of the police, which I think was not unexpected, given the situation as it was going. So now the public obviously is very interested to see how the new police leadership moves on. I think the public is also keen to see whether there is going to be a departure from what has been going on, what everybody has been talking about. The president himself has been talking repeatedly that the police force was infiltrated by some criminal elements. Even he repeated it even after the General Kale Kaihura was removed as IGP. Still, the president repeated that weavers had infiltrated the police force. So now the focus, the attention is on the new police leaders, the IGP and deputy IGP, to see how they are going. I think what is very interesting for many people is that a lot of decisions his predecessor had taken, no matter that this was his deputy, but you can see that he is completely reversing the situation, which would imply that he probably, although he was deputy IGP, probably he never had a lot of say in what was going on. One example, for instance, the new IGP has restructured the departments. Under Kaihura, the police had created a lot of small units running independent, virtually duplicating. They look like they are duplicating each other. Crime intelligence, flying squad. Then you have the side. From time to time, you see names changing. The land protection, then the oil protection, then the environment protection, and each one of them was just a handful of people. Now we see probably that the new leadership headed by Okos Ochola is trying to reorganize the police force again, but also to reorganize the command. Many officers are being changed from place to place. Under Kaihura, almost every 2 weeks, one would expect a reshuffle. People will be keen to see how things look like. Obviously, that has continued. Kaihura was removed on a Sunday. On a Monday, there was a reshuffle by the new IGP, who was still deputy IGP because he hadn't been, and since that time there have been another reshuffle. So, but people want to know, but also they are going to see, they want to see what is the impact. Is there an improvement in the enforcement of laws, in apprehending the criminals, those who break the law? Is there going to be an improvement in discipline, where traffic policemen don't demand for money publicly, in public view, where police stations are not turned into kind of tribunals where people sit and agree and they say you pay fine to this one, also pay us a commission, you know. So people, I think the public want to see how things are going to improve. I think now they have given the new leadership a benefit of doubt. they are holding Kaihura responsible for what was going on. Now the new leadership, I think, are giving them time, probably a year, to start saying, hey, we thought we were going to improve. How about this? How about this? How about this? So I think the new policy leadership must be aware of that. And perhaps in 100 days, we'll give some report.
Absolutely. Very briefly, John,
Yes.
how much support is there for these changes from, both within the force itself and from the public?
I get the impression from what we have written and what we have heard that the new police leadership has got a lot of goodwill. That I get an impression, probably I can only guess, that Kaihura was being accused of relying on non-professional policemen to do police work. The crime preventers. There was a feeling that crime preventers had become even bigger than police officers. I think Kaihura was also being accused of recruiting people into the police force, not career policemen, then get them into positions where they are given ranks and they are issuing orders against established, trained career policemen. That alone can explain why probably the career policemen
Smiling.
must be smiling.
Breathing.
Breathing, yes.
John, the other story that you've covered quite extensively this week is the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yes.
And there was a treaty signing ceremony in Kigali on Wednesday. Uganda is one of the over 40 countries that signed. What is this about in very simple terms, and why does it matter?
Trade, of course, development, countries that are developing obviously must be producing some commodities, some produce, or some products. Therefore, they must be involved in trade, in the trading, and therefore, it's a big. I think since the days of Kwame Nkrumah, in the before 1960, there has been an aspiration by Africans and the African leaders to create a kind of common market and the political union. That has been the aspiration. And the signing of the Free Trade Area Treaty, I think, would suggest that some breakthrough has been made. Notwithstanding the fact that Nigeria, which is one of the giant economies in the continent, have not come on board yet. But as Africa probably industrializes, we will see more trade building up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, John, for your thoughts and time. Any things that we should watch out for in the coming week?
In the coming week, we are looking forward to Easter. This is a largely Christian country, and the Easter season is a very big long holiday, and it's also a very busy time. So we will definitely see a lot of focus on that. The religious leaders tend to come forward to deliver their messages. I have no doubt they will to point out the ills in the society. I have no doubt they will have something to say about the mothers, probably about corruption, probably about political governance, and a lot of those things will be a lot in the news. I just imagine that the story of the murder of Susan Magala will go through to the next week, because the two people who was being described as key suspects are out of the country and are not here. As you note, almost a month later, nobody has been charged with murder of that young lady. So I just imagine the street agencies challenged. They must be desperate to get somebody charged. So they will be working hard. So I would not be surprised if in the course of next week we see one or two more suspects being brought to court. I think although there is a holiday at the end of the week, I still see from the news perspective it's going to be quite a compacted week.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you for watching Editor's Interview. We'll see you next week.